The movie starts in a near future where Earth has become too polluted for life to survive. The few remaining humans are taken to a remote compound where strict rules control their every move. They are under constant surveillance and must wear tracking bracelets. Relationships are forbidden, and every week, a lottery is held to choose someone to go to the island, which is the only place on Earth free of pathogens. Lincoln Six Echo is one of these residents. Recently, he's been having strange dreams, including one where he sees himself on a boat. One day, a computer tells him to report to the Tranquility Center for a wellness check. After having breakfast with Jordan,
Surprise me.
Surprise. Yummy.
Lincoln heads to Dr. Bernard Merrick's office. Merrick explains that he called Lincoln in because he's been getting too close to Jordan and having disturbing nightmares. Lincoln begins to ask about things like food and clothing, wanting to know more about life outside the compound. Merrick tells him his role is to help repopulate Earth and suggests a special test to check his mental state. Merrick takes Lincoln to a lab where tiny probes are inserted into his eyes and into his brain. Lincoln then goes to the labs, where he works on the nutrient lines. His work is interrupted when Lima 1 Alpha's water breaks. She's now going to the island because she's pregnant, tired of his life there. Lincoln removes a chip from his computer and goes to visit his technician friend James Mac McCord. Lincoln enjoys hanging out with Mac, as he has alcohol and pictures of women. Suddenly, a moth appears, which Lincoln captures and places in a matchbox. Meanwhile, Mac goes upstairs to fix some broken equipment. He sees a human body being taken out of a strange bag full of a slimy substance. Doctors check the body, and when they determine it's suitable, they burn a mark on his wrist, put on a tracking bracelet, and send him to the facility. Behind this lab, there's a section with hundreds of bodies in different stages of growth, stored in bags connected to the tubes Lincoln works with. Later that night, Lincoln drinks with Jordan and wonders if she's sick, since he noticed Merrick looking through her file. He starts to suspect something is wrong, but Jordan tells him to focus on the good things, and they go to watch the lottery. Jordan wins, and Lincoln is disappointed because she'll be leaving. After another night of nightmares, Lincoln decides to investigate. He goes down to the technician levels and frees the moth near a ventilation shaft so it can lead him out. He climbs some stairs and lifts a panel to get to a part of the facility he hasn't seen before. After putting on scrubs, he enters a room and looks through a window. He sees Lima and her newborn baby. The doctors place the baby in a crib, tie Lima up, and inject her with poison to kill her. They hand the baby over to a waiting couple, with the wife looking just like Lima. Shocked and disgusted, Lincoln checks Lima's body to confirm she's dead, then sneaks into the reception area. He sees two men arrive to pick up Jamal Starkweather, the football star. The receptionist tells them that Starkweather is still being operated on. It turns out that Starkweather 2 Delta is the one being worked on, and he wakes up during the operation, realizing that his organs are being removed while he's still alive. Starkweather fights off the doctors and machines, making his way out of the room and into the hallway where Lincoln is hiding. Security quickly arrives and shoots Starkweather in the legs, causing him to fall. They drag him back to the operating room while he pleads for mercy. Merrick later views the security footage and notices Lincoln in the hallway. Although he can't see Lincoln's face, his wristband is clearly visible, signaling that one of the products has escaped. Guards are sent to capture him. Lincoln rushes to Jordan's room where she's preparing for the island. He tells her that both Lima and Starkweather are dead.
I saw them. Lima and Starkweather, they're dead.
And that the island isn't real. As Lincoln's face is spotted on the recording, the guards start chasing them. Lincoln and Jordan run, narrowly dodging the guards' gunfire, until they reach a door that leads to the lower floors. They use various tools to trip up and knock out the guards as they make their escape. One of the guards tackles Lincoln, but Jordan knocks him out with a wrench. The pair climbs into a shaft and falls into a room filled with hundreds of people, all chained to stretchers and brainwashed by recordings about the island. When the guards arrive, Lincoln and Jordan hide behind the stretchers and then make a run for the door. They find an elevator that takes them to a tunnel connecting the facility. But when they reach the middle, they discover that the beautiful surroundings are just a hologram, and they're still inside the facility. They enter another structure housing the computer that controls the illusion and pass through a door that leads to a real tunnel. This tunnel takes them outside, and they find themselves in a desert. Meanwhile, Merrick is meeting with wealthy clients, pitching clones of themselves for organ harvesting, surrogate childbirth, and other uses. He lies to the clients, claiming that the clones are kept in a vegetative state and will never become conscious. Later, Merrick meets Albert Laron, a mercenary and former gendarmerie officer who runs a security company with former SEALs. Laron agrees to help, though he warns Merrick that 2 of his products have escaped, and he sends his men after them. Lincoln and Jordan take a break at some old ruins where they finally realize the contamination story is a lie. They find a Route 39 sign and decide to follow that road, eventually reaching a tavern. Despite difficulty communicating with the bartender, they learn that Mac, Lincoln's friend, is in the restroom. Lincoln confronts Mac, angry about being deceived. Mac warns them that security will be searching for them, but promises to tell them everything. They head to Mac's house in his car, where he explains that they are clones of real people, kept unaware and programmed with false memories. Lincoln is actually 3 years old, and Jordan is 4. Merrick hides them away in a secret bunker to keep them hidden from the sponsors. Lincoln hatches a plan.
Then we have to find our sponsors and tell them the truth.
And shut Merrick down. Mac agrees to help and searches for their real identities online. He finds that Lincoln's true name is Tom Lincoln from Los Angeles, and Jordan is Sarah Jordan from New York. He gives them some cash and a stolen credit card to help them escape without being traced. The trio heads to a train station where Lincoln uses the restroom and secretly passes the probe Merrick had implanted in him. Unfortunately, it's too late. The mercenaries have been tracking them using the probes and know exactly where they are. Mac buys train tickets for the clones and advises them to search for their sponsors in the directory.
All right, stay. All right, just stay.
As Mac realizes that the mercenaries are closing in on them, he tries to warn Lincoln and Jordan, but an agent shoots him. Lincoln and Jordan flee the station and find shelter in an abandoned building, where they find a crowbar and nail gun to defend themselves. When one of the mercenaries catches up to them, they nail him to the door and escape on the train. Meanwhile, the mercenaries are tracking Mac's credit card and are waiting for the clones at the station. However, when the train arrives, Lincoln and Jordan sneak out through a back exit, making it to Los Angeles. There, they spot Jordan's face on a perfume ad poster. As they approach a public directory to try and contact their sponsors, street surveillance cameras track their movements. Lincoln's number isn't shown,
Not listed.
but Jordan's is, and when they call, a small child answers. He says his mother is sick and has been taken to the hospital. When he looks at the webcam, he believes Jordan is his mother, and Jordan is shocked by how much the child looks like her. Meanwhile, because they've been using the stolen credit card, the authorities track them down and capture them before the mercenaries do. Lincoln gives them his name, allowing them to look up his profile. As he watches the computer screen, he spots the address of his sponsor. At the same time, Laron's men attach a tracker to the police car to follow them and get rid of the clones before the officers can run a DNA test. Additional officers arrive and fire on the mercenaries, who send a truck to ram the police car, giving Lincoln and Jordan a chance to escape. The two flee through several buildings, then jump onto a 16-wheeler truck carrying heavy machinery. Once they're on the highway, they start throwing large pieces of machinery to block the vehicles chasing them. But a specialized glider bike manages to pass through and shoots at the truck, stopping it. When the motorcyclist gets too close, Lincoln strikes him with an iron rod, then steals the bike and speeds off with Jordan. They race through the city on the motorcycle, dodging train tracks and even crashing through the windows of a building. After getting stuck on the building's logo, they hide from the mercenaries' gunfire. The fire destroys the large metal logo, sending it crashing onto a nearby construction site, where safety nets break its fall and protect the clones. As the police arrive, a construction worker helps them escape. Back at the facility, Merrick discovers another clone asking too many questions. After killing him, Merrick orders the guards to search all the clones in the Echo population. Hours later, the doctors present their findings to Merrick. They discover that Lincoln has been retrieving his sponsor's memories by comparing his scans to the ones taken by the probes. Since all the clones share the same issue, Merrick tells the doctors to eliminate all the clones. They'll make it look like the defective clones are being sent to the island by drawing names in the lottery. Meanwhile, Lincoln and Jordan take a taxi to Lincoln's sponsor's house after spending the night hiding. Lincoln uses his cloned eyes to unlock the door, and inside, he finds images of himself driving cars, planes, and even the boat from his dreams. Tom, Lincoln's sponsor, attacks them, but stops when he sees a duplicate of his own face. After learning the truth, Tom removes their wristbands and gives them new clothes, explaining that he designs vehicles for a living and
I have cirrhotic hepatitis.
which is why he paid for a clone. He pretends to support their mission to expose Merrick. However, when he goes to his room to get his shoes, he calls the Institute and informs them that 2 clones are in his house. When Tom returns, Jordan realizes the betrayal and tells Lincoln, who instructs her to stay behind while he leaves. Lincoln and Jordan steal one of Tom's cars, which Lincoln can drive because they share fingerprints. However, they're attacked by the mercenaries. Tom pulls a gun on Lincoln, but Lincoln slams the gas pedal and speeds off, with cars attacking them from all sides. Lincoln drives into an abandoned building and tries to escape, but Tom catches up to him and points the gun at him again. Lerone arrives, unsure of who to shoot, and Lincoln seizes the opportunity to pretend to be Tom. During a heated argument over who's the clone, Lincoln places Tom's wristband on Tom's wrist, convincing Lerone that he's the clone and forcing him to shoot Tom. Lincoln promises Lerone that he won't tell anyone about the clones and lies about Jordan's whereabouts. Lerone trusts him and takes Tom's body back to the Institute. Lincoln returns to Tom's house, where Jordan threatens him with a revolver she found, but steps back when she realizes he isn't Tom.
Hey, Jordan, it's me. It's me!
A few hours later, they get a call from the Institute telling them that all defective clones will be discarded, and Tom needs to provide a new DNA sample. Lincoln and Jordan discuss their options. They could escape on Tom's boat and live a normal life, but they decide they want to return and help the other clones. They come up with a plan to break into the facility and destroy the hologram, revealing the truth to everyone. Lincoln disguises himself as Tom and calls the Institute for a pickup while Jordan goes out, using the credit card to lead the mercenaries to her. She's escorted to an operating room at the Institute where they plan to harvest her organs for her sponsor. But she pulls out a rifle, shoots the guard, and steals the keys. She meets up with Lincoln in the hallway, where he has knocked out his guide and stolen a medic's uniform. However, they soon go separate ways when they see the clones being moved. Jordan decides to follow them as Lincoln grabs the keys and heads to take down the hologram. Meanwhile, Lerone is meeting with Merrick, showing him the brand on his body, a mark from his father's revolt. Lerone despises the idea of treating humans as less than human and believes Merrick sees himself as a god. Doctors are conducting an autopsy on a body they think is Lincoln's, but realize it's actually Tom when they notice the wristband is on the wrong wrist. The security alarm goes off, and the guards begin searching for Lincoln. Meanwhile, Lerone changes his mind and decides to search for Jordan. He and his team chase after the clones being sent out, threatening the guards until they manage to free the clones. Lincoln reaches the hologram room but can't access the computer because it's behind bulletproof glass. He tries to overload the machine with steam pressure. Merrick shoots at him as he pulls the switches, but Lincoln fights back, pulling a chain from the floor to wrap around Merrick's ankles, giving himself an opening. Merrick lunges at him, and they engage in a brutal fist fight. It's cut short when the machine explodes. Lincoln attempts to flee again, but Merrick stops him, pointing a revolver at him. However, Merrick makes the mistake of trying to choke Lincoln with his own hands. This gives Lincoln the chance to grab the gun and shoot Merrick. The structure begins to collapse as they tumble from the railing. Lincoln saves himself by grabbing onto a wire, but Merrick falls to his death. As the hologram crashes, all the clones in the facility witness the truth and rush outside, experiencing the real world for the first time. Lincoln and Jordan share a kiss, silently thanking Lerone for helping them find freedom. Later, just like in Lincoln's dreams, they are on a boat, enjoying their new life.